I'm joined today by Winston Gambro. I'm going to try to do an intro.
Tips for blooming artists.
Hello, friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I like the closet.
Yeah, this is my little sound studio.
I understand. My sound studio is also this, so my sound isn't as good as probably yours. It's like echo, echo, echo. And then, of course, I have the great lighting of the ceiling fan. And the ceiling fan is broken, by the way. Like, I can't turn off the fan part. I mean, better than it not being, like, I like having circulating air. So it would be more often than not, but it's stuck that way. So
it can never turn off?
No. I mean, with a handyman and, like, somebody with skills, yes.
But not with you.
No, not with me. Nothing with me. Things just stay broken. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm wearing like my Stephen Colbert inspired blazer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's
and I love your setup. Like you got was that your calendar behind you? The Blossoms chart?
This is my planner, and this says I'm supposed to have episode 10 done by the end of the week, which gives me 5 days.
How's it coming?
I did things. I did other things, which is why I didn't work on the episode as much as I maybe could or should have. But then I also went to a Final Fantasy VII concert this weekend, and that like took up my whole day. Sunday.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, I cried the entire opening, like the part where the comet comes through, like the logo. You played it, right? This isn't okay.
I basically know everything from Kingdom Hearts. So I know Cloud, main guy, Sephiroth, bad guy.
So, but you skipped Final Fantasy VII.
Dies.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I never played it, but I know the general. Actually, that's it. That's all I know.
I recommend it. I recommend most of the Final Fantasies, actually. When it's still totally as valid as it was whenever it came out, like now. Like, it's just as fun, and you don't have to wait for the characters anymore. They announced everybody, so they announced, so like Sephiroth's in it.
Yeah. Oh.
And full circle back to Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I know. Shirtless Sephiroth. Sephiroth assumably gets shirtless at some point in 7 because he doesn't Smash. Like, yeah, Smash spoiled so much for me. Like
what you're getting is accurate.
Yeah, like, do I need to play 7? Because now, thanks to Kingdom Hearts and Smash, I know all the story. I know Cloud is best friends with Winnie the Pooh and loves fighting Mario.
That's what happens in the original too. Yeah, you don't need to play it. Moving on. Okay, so I'm joined today by Winston Gambro. He is my booth buddy from C2E2, and he recently wrote and illustrated a totally original Bellossoms comic for me. And I want to take some time today to talk about his experience making the comic and his process as an artist, and which of the Bellossoms is his favorite. Also, before drop my pencil, I'm a smooth operator. I am so impressed by your comic that I'm almost mad. I'm mad I didn't write it. Like, it's so good and it's so perfectly Bellossoms that I was like, oh, yeah, of course. When you sent it to me, I was like, it's perfect. I have no changes, and it's totally delightful. So thank you so much for taking the time to do it. What was it like?
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me on. It was so fun to do. I mean, you've sculpted this like really beautiful, unique world, so it was really cool to draw from that. Like, if you watch the process video, I have your background up to like use for the color palette, and I tried to make everything kind of look like they had assembled it themselves out of little scraps or parts of a tree, which is such a little unique piece of the world. So it's just fun to get to play in this place that you've constructed so well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so impressed. It really speaks volumes to your level of being a writer and an artist to be able to capture them so quickly. Like, so, yeah, just completely embodying the spirit of like what it's about and doing such a beautiful job right off the bat. So again, props to you. Kudos. Totally appreciate it. And by the way, hiring managers, super quick. I don't know if you're looking for, we're always all looking for work, right?
Yes.
turnaround time, unbelievable. It was flawless from beginning to end. So if anyone's looking for a cartoonist, this is the guy. Let's talk about you. What is the first thing you remember?
Subject.
What's the first thing you remember drawing?
I really struggled with that question. I think monsters in general, I might say. Like I had a kid's book about like monsters in the attic, but not like scary monsters. It was just like a kid going up and partying with brightly colored things with horns and fur. And so a lot of my vaguest doodles that my parents have kept are things with huge teeth and horns and stuff. And it kind of transfers over. I still like drawing monsters. Now they're just more horrifying.
Are you a scary movie person?
No. I'm a big chicken.
I am too. So how do your monsters fit into, how do you really not liking scary stuff with like creating scary stuff? Like what is the
I think the big thing is if I'm able to control it, like the thing I hate about horror movies is the jump scares. Like I hate embarrassing myself, and you can't really jump scare yourself. It's like tickling yourself. Since you're prepped for it, you won't be afraid.
I like it. That's true. I don't like jump scares either. And talking about video games again, I play a lot of them on like on super low volume or mute. Like I'm kind of still a little bit scarred from Arkham Knight. But you do the horror thing anyway. See, I don't draw horror either.
Yeah, I like to mess around with whatever I draw. Like I draw a lot of different things. Like I never would have really imagined like drawing a cartoon strip or a comic strip in this, especially like Bellossoms, like kind of with how sweet and lighthearted it is. Like that is very much not what I usually do, but I had so much fun adding to it. And so I kind of have a short attention span for everything. And I think a big part of that is the variety I get in like my art. Like I'm always trying to do a new art style. Like the piece I did for you that was heavily inspired by Calvin Hobbes.
Yeah.
And so I had my big books of Calvin Hobbes open, looking for inspiration, trying to figure out how he drew trees. And that's really what I like to do, is constantly change up my style for the projects.
I saw that with your Spider-Man piece. That was super cool that you had at C2E2. Like it was so beautiful the way it was, like the composition, the way you could like see through the eyes. Am I describing it right? Like you could see,
yeah,
like it was like different. It was all the different Spider-Man, but it was all like a single.
Yeah,
like they were all within one Spider-Man. Now I should have just bought a print. That's what I should have done. Go buy his print. You can see what I'm talking
you mean
about.
This one? No, I wish I had hold that up. Yeah, it was basically one Spider-Man and then 3 circles covering him just as like a graphical element. And within one circle, it's Tom Holland with his villains, then Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, each with their own villains within the circle, and their suits changing.
Have you seen it?
I did.
Anyway. The worst. Now that I'm traumatized, let's move on. So again, cannot compliment the comic enough. I think it was awesome. Can you describe your process a little bit? How do you go about making it? How do you even like start? Because you're actually both a writer and an artist for most of your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like, talk about the process and then also kind of the balance between being a writer and being an artist and kind of which parts come first and what that's like for you?
So I guess I'll start with the balance. I kind of jump between roles. So for what I'm working on right now, which is that horror mini comic, it is it's all fleshed out, like all skeletoned out, but I write the script for each issue. So I'll finish issue 1, then I'll write all of 2, draw all of 2, then write all of issue 3, draw all of issue 3. So I basically am 2 very separate jobs at that time. And a big part of that is that compartmentalization means I don't just assign myself easy stuff to draw. Like script Winston is very mean to artist Winston. I was just drawing a woman playing a violin, and I'm like, I hate you, script Winston. She could have been sitting in a chair. She could have been staring in the distance.
You gotta
But
get
no,
this whole thing going.
it
I
is
actually play if
really
you ever need somebody to. I don't play well, so I don't want you to hear it, but I can hold it really well.
Then once it's scripted out, I do thumbnails for every individual page. I move on to pencils, where I traditionally just use like traditional pencils rather than digital. Scan it in. I digitally ink now because it's just been a big time saver and made my work a lot cleaner. I color in Photoshop and then letter in Illustrator.
I do get the sense looking at how your line work is, though, that, yeah, like I totally agree. Inking on the screen is just so much more relaxed. It's not as precise, but I do get the sense that your line work has a really beautiful texture to it. And I would want to see maybe some traditional stuff, even though like scanning is like such a pain and like everything else, and trying to get it to be a perfect reproduction and not just a sketch. But I do get the sense you have like this beautiful quality of line that may or may not, well, depending on your brushes, but it may or may not. Do you feel like you're still getting the quality of line? Like, does it still feel like homemade, like to you? I still feel like it does, but I just wonder like how much like the paper and like the ink play into it for you. And because I do get the sense that your art is really quite beautiful in person if you see it like traditionally, but of course that's not like, it's not like possible anymore nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just I feel like I'm never happy with my art when it's just traditional nowadays. Like I'm always up until like the last minute making little color changes or texture changes, and I can't really do that with traditional. Like I was at C2, I got my first in-person commission, and I'm
Daredevil.
yes, it was
Yes.
a guy gave
Yeah.
me a little
Yes.
sketchbook full of Daredevil, and it's full of amazing artists that I love, and I was so scared to draw on it with ink with no Command Z. That is not fair. I like my brother who was at the table, he's like trying to talk to me, and I'm like, don't talk for 10 more seconds while I ink this.
Do not speak during inking. No one speaks, no one breathe, no one do anything. After that, you can talk to me. Coloring's much easier.
Yeah, I'd like to get back to traditional once in a while, but just right now, digital is such a useful tool. Like I don't know if I can go back anytime soon.
I loved that Daredevil piece. I thought it was great. And I think that's the thing, like, because I was doing sketchbook pieces too, and like, I'm not happy with them either, but like, the people were so psyched. Like, as an artist, I mean, the thing about digital is you can keep making it as perfect as possible, but with traditional, it is what it is, and like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I wish it was easier to accept like the beauty in it is what it is, and like, that's it. Like, it's a moment, and like, that's it. Like, you have the moment to put down the line, and like that is it. And so in that it's quite pretty, but then because of like digital and because you're like, well, I would do that line differently if I could take it back.
Yeah,
it makes it so hard, but people are psyched. So
yeah, people tend to like it. It's just being on the other side of it makes it kind of hard. You're like, I can only see the flaws in everything I've ever made.
that's okay. So that's a good segue. Is there anything about creating comics that might surprise people?
I think the average person just might not know how much work goes into them. Like the same can be said for animation. Like I can't imagine making anything animated. Oh my god. An average page for me, the pencils are like 3 hours, inks are like one to two, and then coloring and lettering is another 2 hours, and that's all one page, and then I have to do that 22 more times just for one issue. Like when you hear something like a comic ran for 20 issues or something. You're like, oh, that's not very long. That so much effort went into that.
Yes. And that always makes me think about the people who were doing the pen and ink.
Yeah.
What? Crazy. They have assistants though. Like when you see like there's this one like YouTube channel that shows like there was one this, but they were doing digital. But even the digital people, like it was like how to be a manga artist. And so they were showing like a manga artist in Tokyo, and he had like 4 or 5 assistants just helping him like fill in inks and stuff. I'm like, must be nice, guy. I want to live that assistant life.
I mean, manga is like a whole thing. Like the creator of One Piece gets 4 hours of sleep a night because he just
they turn them out every week. They don't do this like month thing. They do it.
Yeah,
they don't
20 pages a week.
They don't have to color them, but then they have to do the promo art though. So they have to have like a finished piece to like promote it, and then they have like the whatever 22 pages of like it's basically the same, but they have to do it in a week, not a month. Yeah, they don't sleep.
Yeah, that is not my kind of workload. I'd much rather the American system is definitely not perfect, but I prefer it to that.
You are for the most part, because I know you have your own comics, you are for the most part your own boss. Do you feel like you are harder than somebody who may like commission you for something? Or I'm unfamiliar. Have you worked for a company like Marvel or DC or or like a Dark Horse or anything like that? Or have you really just branched out on your own? Because I mean, your work is so professional. I can't tell, so I don't know, but what is your experience in being your own boss and versus like
if you could tell Marvel or DC that, you'd really help me out. But no.
Oh sure, let me get right on it.
Call up Joey Marvel. No, I'm just self-published at this point. Reached out to some publishers on my latest book and had some interest, but I'm going to wait till I finish it till I get back to them.
I'm in the same boat. I want to finish my show too. Are you a tough boss?
Yeah, I think you kind of have to be if you want to be able to make something consistently. Like you have to work hard. You have to be your worst enemy. And even if you don't want to draw for that day, you have to draw a little. You have to say, I'm finishing that pencil no matter how much it sucks.
Or if you're not feeling like you're even good at drawing that day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which is
I feel
how
like
much
I'm
of the
never
time?
good at drawing till the end.
You're like, I'll be good at drawing today. One day.
Adam Hughes, one of my favorite artists, he said every morning starts with him searching his studio for the pencil that he threw across the room at the end of the day before.
Oh.
Yeah, so even the best artists in the world can really hate their art sometimes.
Yes. What would, with that like in mind, what sort of advice would you give to an artist starting their first comic or maybe even their first drawing?
Yeah, I guess my go-to is just try to work on it every day if you can. Just 15 minutes, like it doesn't have to be a lot. Just set aside a time, like after dinner, I'm going to draw for 20 minutes. And really any kind of artistry is a marathon, not a sprint. And you only see the end goal. You don't see how many steps, how many destroyed projects or like bad drawings got them to that point.
Which is on average how many you think?
I've got a giant Rubbermaid container in my garage of my childhood drawings, and they are tough to look at. I
actually have most of my sketchbooks.
Oh, like, yeah, that's mine too.
In a row, like up from like 7th grade on. 7th grade is when I got my first sketchbook, and then it's just like from on.
How do they look?
Oh, not good. My most recent sketchbook doesn't look good. But like also, I'm not trying to sell, like some people have like beautiful sketchbooks. Gosh, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but there's one guy that I follow on Instagram and he lives in, I want to say Minnesota. If I can think of his name, I'll plug him. Or I'll plug him after this. I'll just edit it in. But his sketchbook is like every spread is like a printable piece, like an art project. I'm like, oh, like I got like notes and like my handwriting's like what? Like but it's also just for me. Like it's literally, and again, because I also ride that writer artist line. So I'm like, they're kind of just like notes that I scribble down and take to like address later and not so much
Mhm.
like within my sketchbook. But my sketchbook was like,
Yeah, same. I don't have one of those beautiful sketchbooks. It's like, here's a decent drawing of a face and then a squiggle of a building that I did while I watched Venom. Like, no one wants to buy that stuff.
I don't want them to have it.
Oh, yeah, that too.
It's not, I don't want, yeah, I don't.
And what were you drawing in those 7th grade sketchbooks?
The first piece in there is actually, no, her name's not Michelle. Maybe it's Michelle from Tekken,
Okay.
the fighting game Tekken.
Yeah.
I drew her, and then I think on the second page, because it's like color, I had like color pencils and stuff at the time. Tekken, and then I want to say Chun-Li. A lot of Chun-Li throughout the years, and I have full sketchbooks devoted to Sailor Moon.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
That's
full,
awesome.
like complete, like comic, like original comics that I wrote. Again, not well drawn or anything, but like, I was like writing comics and doing stuff just in like a Strathmore, like spiral bound,
Yeah.
whatever, like nothing. I mean, I have the hardcover now. This is my sketchbook. I collect stickers. I just like slap them on there.
Oh, that's fun.
Got all the scraps. I treat this like just scraps. These are just like musings of whatever. Like, these are my storyboards. This is what I'm talking about. And I'm sure you can, like, what? Those aren't drawings. That's
Yeah,
not
the
art.
thumbnails only make sense to us. It's
That's
our
what-
own language.
That is the best piece of advice I ever got. Do you want to talk about your other projects? What else you got? What do you want to plug? What else you got going on?
Yeah, sure. I'm doing Haunted House: A Love Story right now. I'm drawing and writing that. It's about a sentient haunted house that falls in love with its architect, and then the architect falls in love with someone else, and the house gets jealous. Then I have a webtoon that's ongoing. I just write this because it is so well drawn by Michael Lee Harris, an amazing artist that is so good. It is called Gumshoe City. It's about a city where every resident is a detective, and every story is about a big mystery where everyone is a detective with their own specialty, with all these Looney Tune antics. But also on top of like one of those kind of mysteries that you can solve yourself if you're trying to. And that's what I always liked about like a good Monk episode. If you ever watched that, is if you're watching, you can solve it before him. And that's what I was looking for when I wrote Gumshoe City.
Is it, what age group is it for? Is it like Goosebumps? Is it R.L. Stein? Is it
Yeah, I'd
Resident
say
Evil?
around there. I would say, I always say Looney Tunes because there are guns and punching, but it's all very cartoony. And then kind of mixed with the Blossoms audience, I have an all ages comic called Rex Radley Boy Adventurer. It is an anthology written by me, partially drawn by me, but then drawn by a variety of great artists, where it is everything I wanted to read as a kid. So it has giant robots, dinosaurs, explosions, rocket boots, and it's just been a lot of fun to harness my inner kid and get in there and combine every terrible cartoon I loved as a kid that was just made to sell toys and combine them all into one comic.
What cartoons are they based on?
A big part of it is Johnny Quest. I loved like that kind of boy adventurer style, and there's an episode I once saw where his bodyguard is using a jetpack with a bazooka to kill a pterodactyl, and I'm like, this is so cool. The Herculoids, like that Hanna-Barbera era of action, like Birdman and the Herculoids, some Power Rangers mixed in because I love the giant robots.
Love Power Rangers. Did we talk about this? It comes up in every time I talk to anybody about anything. How much I have a Megazord sitting on my desk.
Oh my!
And the Dragon Zord and Rita Repulsa. I dressed up like her for Halloween. I'm obsessed. I am obsessed. But Mighty Morphin, I don't know anything about the other ones, and allegedly there's better ones, but I don't. And then the Boom comics were.
Oh yeah, I shockingly loved the movie. Like I
The original?
saw that in theaters. No, the reboot.
They messed up the Megazord though.
Yeah, and I didn't think their suits were great, but well, a big part of it is I walked in with no expectations. I said this is going to suck, and then they had character development, and some of them tried to act, and Bryan Cranston was good.
Yes.
Elizabeth Banks was good, and I'm like,
Yes.
you know what? And they played the theme song. I'm like, that's cool. That gets a solid B- from me.
Yeah, but it could have easily been an A. I bet you do this too. Like I edit things as I'm watching them.
Oh yeah.
So they could have made the Megazord cool. Like they didn't even make the dinosaurs like do that. Like the part you like want to see like the Transformers thing, which they have the tech for, like obviously. I was with you. An hour into the movie, I was like, this is pretty good. I like what they've done. They like Breakfast Clubbed it. Like this is a fun, like I mean, it's silly, but like so is every like coming of age, like Saved by the Belly type thing. But then the Zords happened and I was like,
it's like Batman. I don't really get mad about Batman stuff because it's a dude in a bat suit. Like I'm not expecting high level cinema anymore.
Are you hyped for the next one though?
I think I might see it. I'm kind of iffy on, like, DC has hurt me before, so I try not to get excited.
But I've been hurt by the animated, not the series, not Batman the Animated Series, but like the movies that have come out. Been like very.
Oh yes.
It's painful.
It's for every under the red hood, there's a Killing Joke or a Hush. I still haven't seen Hush because I know what's going on there.
Hush was passable.
Okay.
And I liked it because they switched it up actually. So it's not page for page, but the Killing Joke I didn't make it through. Can I tell you why?
Your choices. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a PG-13 reason. Because spoiler alert, when Batgirl and Batman like hook up, like she's wearing a regular bra. Like she's not wearing a high-tech sports bra or something else. She's wearing like a regular like class, like I was like, no, she's wearing like high-tech, like Under Armour, like I was just
the ultimate in mobility.
Forget it. I don't care what the plot is. This is trash. And I don't really like any plot where Batgirl and Batman hook up. I'm not about that life. I'm better with Batman and Robin, like in Titans, like or Batgirl and Robin, or Batman and Robin, whatever. I'm more.
Whoa! I've missed Titans.
I'm more fine with that.
Stuff is happening.
Gotta tune in. It's all about Nightwing and Nightwing's costume, and he has some like Arrow Daredevil-esque fight scenes where I was like, yes, get it, Nightwing, let's go. And he's got the sticks, and because that's how you right.
You gotta have the sticks.
But Batgirl passed. But I'm excited about the new movie because it's Catwoman. And I'm just any movie with Catwoman's, and I'm like, here for it.
I love how the Riddler looks. I also would be totally fine with a green suit with question marks or just green spandex with question marks. But I also love this kind of creepy Zodiac killer look. I'll just take Riddler any way I can get. He's my favorite.
He's your favorite? So we're going to be really happy then. You'll have Riddler and I'll have Catwoman, and it'll just be a happy day.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man was a happy day.
Oh, yeah. Spider-Man was great.
What happens after it, also very good. So I'll just
that was probably my loudest cheer. Yes, it's all coming together.
Synergy. Would you and your main character, you can pick any of your stories, maybe the Rex anthology, would you and your main character get along?
Yeah, if we're going with Rex Radley, yeah, probably. He's pretty likable, excitable. Maybe too much for my jaded attitude. You had also asked if I would get along with the Bellossoms, and I think they probably wouldn't get along with me because I'm
not even the Thorns. What about the Thorns?
Maybe the Thorns.
Oh, the window and the tree. That's so on theme. My computer crashed. Full black screen, multi-language. No sound, it just like goes silent and black.
Do you have like a Patreon or something where people can help you buy a new computer?
I do have a Patreon, people do. People are helping me with things, and it's very nice, and I appreciate it very much. But you know, a new computer is like a lot of patrons.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I would need like 500 patrons. I have 10, and I'm very appreciative of my 10, though. They're very sweet.
Get that up there, people.
Get up on that Patreon action. You have one too, don't you?
Yeah. Patreon.com/Winston Gambro, and I'm posting Haunted House, the love story as it goes right now, and then Gumshoe City as that gets done.
Yes. So go sign up for both of our patrons. We both need computers and stuff and like pencils to do the things and entertain you so you can like the things and the stuff.
Are you just reading the bio on your Patreon?
I want to keep doing the things. Yeah, me do things stuff good sometimes, but not like all good all the time, because as we said earlier, we don't draw good all the time.
No,
so set yourself up for disappointment and join our patrons. You will be pleasantly surprised. Hi, flower fans. I'm going to make this quick. My computer crashed twice while I was talking to Winston Gambro. I had so much fun. I can't thank him enough. We started to bring up Arrow, and I feel like that was going to be a whole other conversation. I could have talked to him all afternoon. Make sure you check out his work. Like, follow, subscribe, and as always, keep blooming, flower fans. See you at the next one.